Welcome back to the Ancestral Findings podcast. There comes a point in genealogy when you sit back, stare at the screen, and realize you are not moving forward anymore. You are still working, still searching, still opening records, but nothing new is coming in. You have been here before. Most people who research family history long enough eventually find themselves in this same spot. It usually happens quietly. You open a database you have already searched dozens of times. You adjust a date by a year or two. You change the spelling of a surname that you already know has been searched every reasonable way. You click through the results with a small sense of hope, even though deep down you know what you're going to see: nothing. At that moment, a hard question comes up. Do I keep going or do I stop? That question makes many researchers uncomfortable. Stopping feels like failure. It feels like leaving work unfinished. Genealogy has trained us to believe that persistence always pays off and that the next record is just one more search away. Sometimes that is true. Other times it simply is not. Calling it quits does not mean you are done forever. It means you are acknowledging reality. It means recognizing when the records have said all they're going to say. Our ancestors did not live in a world that documented everything. Many lived in places where record-keeping was inconsistent or informal. Some lived in times when records were never created in the first place. Others left records that were later lost, destroyed, misfiled, or never indexed. Fires, floods, wars, neglect, and simple human error erased enormous portions of history long before any of us ever sat down to research it. When you have searched every reasonable source for a specific person, place, and time, continuing to push harder does not uncover new truth. It only increases the risk of mistakes. One of the most important skills in genealogy is knowing when the research for a particular question has reached its natural stopping point. That does not come from laziness. It comes from experience. It comes from understanding what records exist, which ones survive, and which ones you have already exhausted. Exhausting records does not mean running a few searches and giving up. It means you have worked through the available civil records. You have looked for births, marriages, and deaths where they should exist. You have searched census records across every available year. You have checked land and tax records to see if the person appears when and where you expect them to. You have looked at probate files, court records, and church registers when they apply. You have considered name variations, spelling changes, and indexing errors. And after all of that, the trail still stops. That is when discipline matters. Many genealogy errors are created at the exact moment when someone refuses to stop. The records go quiet, but the researcher does not. Assumptions begin to fill the gap. A person with the same name in the same county gets attached to the family tree without proof. A birth year is stretched to make a timeline work. A relationship is accepted because it seems reasonable rather than because it is documented. Those decisions feel small in the moment. Over time, they compound. One incorrect connection can spread across hundreds of online trees. It gets copied, shared, and repeated until it starts to look authoritative, simply because it appears everywhere. Years later, someone else comes along and spends countless hours trying to untangle a mistake that began with one person refusing to accept that the records had run out. Stopping protects your work. It protects the people who will come after you and rely on what you have documented. There is a difference between an unanswered question and a poorly answered one. An unanswered question leaves room for future discovery. A poorly answered one creates confusion that can last for generations. Sometimes calling it quits is temporary. New collections are added all the time. Records that were once locked away in local offices are digitized and made searchable. Indexes improve. Technology changes. What does not exist today may surface years from now. That is why stopping should always be deliberate and documented. When you reach the end of a line, write down what you searched. Note the places, the time periods, and the types of records you reviewed. Make it clear why you stopped. That record of your work becomes just as valuable as any document you found along the way. It tells future researchers that the silence was not caused by neglect, but by careful effort. Other times, calling it quits is permanent, at least with our current knowledge. Some lives simply disappear from the written record. That does not make them less real. It reminds us that genealogy is incomplete by nature. We are working with fragments, not full biographies. There is also wisdom in changing direction instead of forcing progress where none exists. If you cannot move backward another generation, you may learn more by looking sideways. Siblings, neighbors, business partners, and community members often leave clearer trails. Studying them can provide context that explains why your ancestor appears or disappears at certain times. Even when it does not lead to new names, it deepens understanding. And sometimes the most honest conclusion is that this is where the line ends. Genealogy is not a competition to see how far back you can go. It's the careful reconstruction of real lives using real evidence. Knowing when to stop is part of doing that work well. It shows respect for the records and for the people whose names you are researching. Stopping does not erase the effort you have already put in. It validates it. It means you have listened closely enough to know when the records have finished speaking. If you reach that point and step away with clarity, honesty, and good documentation, you have done your job. And if someday the records speak again, you will be ready to listen. If you've got a hard-to-find ancestor you're stuck on, I'd love to hear about it. Just head over to ancestralfindings.com and click on Contact to send me a message. While you're there, take advantage of our free weekly genealogy lookups. Explore thousands of articles and enjoy hundreds of podcast episodes. We've been helping family history researchers since 1995. And if you're looking for even more, check out our Genealogy Gold Q&A series over on Patreon. Thanks for listening, and as always, happy searching.